Those parts of 3 crates that the cabinet thing came in. They're heavy. Plywood and then all kinds of hardware. Is this box of stuff? Brian just wants to throw it all away. But these things are expensive if you have to buy them at the hardware store, and they don't always have them. These are really heavy-duty, strong ones. There's a whole bunch of these clamps, and the part that they clamp onto. I might save a couple, but I don't use those kind of things. But I'll put them in like a bag and then offer them to anyone that builds, I guess. And there's a whole shit ton of screws. Where are they? There's a ton of these little screws. They're about 1/4 of an inch long. There's a ton of these. I'll bet you it'll fill up this Parmesan shaker cheese canister. I'll bet you it will. I thought, and I try so hard to check things out so that I'm not taken advantage of or scammed. This person or organization is doing a good job of doing that. Here I thought I was talking to Helga Schneider. They speak German, they speak English. Now, do all these latest scammer guys use AI to translate for them? I mean, who knows? With so much technology, they probably do. And I'm not sending money, and I'm not, going to promise anything to anybody. If they want to be friends and hang out and have fun and joke around and stuff like that, that's fun. That's fine. But this is turned into, I'm sitting at my desk editing my latest music. But I need a gold such and such card. And it's only $1,000, but I really need one right away. If you could go to the store, and I'm like, oh, you motherfucker. Whoever you are, I wrote back immediately in all caps, shame on you. Shame on you for sullying the name of a great artist by doing this kind of bullshit. I said, I have less than $150 to my name. So I don't know who the fuck you think you're trying to get money out of. Some poor lonely person? It isn't gonna be me. So pissed off. I'm gonna sort out this metal stuff. I've got laundry to put away, and if I feel like it, I'll take a crowbar. The rest of it's stapled together. I'll take a crowbar, pry bar, whack it apart into different boards. I can cut them down and eventually, little by little get rid of them. There's a couple pieces that might prove good to have if I need a board for something. I'm thinking of taking a bunch of these that come with the shaker cheese, for spaghetti and stuff. I have a bunch of these. They're good for screws and bolts and various things. And I'm looking to arrange them on a shelf, but I need to make the shelf. And I think a couple pieces of this wood will make the shelf. That's down the line. It's not an immediate emergency thing. If I have the things to organize with, like this box here is my drill. Inside, my drill and drill bits and stuff. I got one for the sander, for the sandpaper and the sander, and then one for the jigsaw. And I'll put them on the shelf, the shelf underneath the tool bench. So it'll at least be in a place, it'll have a place. Now I just have to do that on the inside of the house where I live and have a place for everything in its place and no more than what I need. That's hard to do when you live collecting stuff because you'll never know when you need it. That attitude. That's why Brian doesn't want me to keep all this metal hardware stuff. I'm going to have a jar of screws and a jar of the L brackets. And I think that's it. The rest of it I'll pitch. Because I don't need these little clippy things. I don't need that. I don't even foresee anything why I would need something like that. But that's what I'm going to be doing. It is now about 11:30. The little fella went down for a nap. Daddy's home today. He's eating lunch. And I was listening to They Might Be Giants through the phone here, but the sun came down and shined on the phone. It overheated. It's nice out here today, and it was nice last night. I actually disconnected the AC from the window and had the window open. It's supposed to be like that for the next 4 nights. So I'm really careful with the windows open and shut, and anything that causes heat, I'll just no bacon or anything, and see if I can not use the AC. Tonight, rehearsal's 5:45. Last night, the director met with me. He met with everyone separately. We ran through the lines. Apparently, I've been learning one of the sets of lines incorrectly. He wants it exactly the way it's in the script, which means I'm going to have to relearn that set. There's like 2 or 3 words that I left out accidentally. Bummer. Just when I thought I had it all down pat, you know. I don't know where that expression comes from either, unless, it's something's done, you pat it. I don't know where that comes from. There's a lot of idiomatic phrases and phrases that we use. I have no idea where they come from. But if you're talking to someone from another country, they may not have a clue what you're talking about. We have things like strong as an ox, busy as a bee, little phrases like that. In other countries, they have similar things. They may not be the same animal, but they have similar things. Oh, that's where he put it. Okay, I was wondering where he put the old cabinet. Right here. We built that last year. The new one, it's a little wider, about the same size. It's a little wider, and it has a built-in part that slides out for the projection TV part. It just makes it so you don't have to adjust it every single time, which makes it a lot nicer for the viewer, the person. And I'm glad that he got it for himself. He started thinking, maybe I should start paying down on the house payments instead of buying all these neat gadgets. The reason he started thinking that is near where he works. He had some pictures on his phone he showed me. The parking lot at work where they park, and on the other side of the fence from the parking lot, bushes were on fire. He was worried about it blowing over and catching his truck on fire. That happens around here. And it's not because someone turned the key or didn't push the button and let water down like Trump said. Trump's a friggin' idiot. He's a fucktard. Yeah, I said it. I'm mad. I'm very pissed off. It gets worse every day. And people like me, we don't know what to do about it. It's people that represent us, that we vote for and stuff. We got to put the pressure on them to stand up to this fucker and say, no. He's a spoiled little boy that's never been told no. I used to babysit a lot, and I babysat one of those kids like that. He was a dick. He was a real asshole. And his father must be an asshole. He was 5 years old at the time, and I was 16, so I'm like 11 years older than him. So he'd be in his 50s. This guy, probably with family, maybe grandchildren by now. I hope he's not a dick, but he probably is. I wonder if I can find him on YouTube on Facebook or something. Sean Michael Miller. His sister's name was Heather, and his mom was Vicky. And his dad's name was Mike. And I'd get this phone call. Hi, what you doing? And I'm thinking, oh, fuck. Vicky wants me to babysit Sean. He was a bastard. He used to stand and watch the high school kids come home from school and throw rocks at him and call them fuckers. And he was 5 years old. Evil little bastard. No one ever told him no. His mom and dad never told him no. I did. And I said, Sean, it's no. And if you don't, if you don't straighten up and behave, there's going to be consequences. He didn't know what a consequence was. I said, I will spank you. He goes, oh, no, you won't. And I said, oh, yes, I will. And he tested me, and I gave him one good swat on the butt. Didn't hurt him. I just looked him straight in the eye with that if looks could kill look, like moms give their kids. Well, some moms. And he looked at me like, she did it. One time, though, that little bastard, there was a little school desk, and he goes, you want to play school? I said, okay. He goes, well, you sit here. So I sat there, and he went to get something, and he was really quick. He handcuffed me to the desk. And the phone was ringing. And this long before cell phones or even caller ID or anything. And I said, I'll bet you that's your mom. She said she was going to check in. And it was ringing and ringing and ringing. I said, undo this handcuff or you're going to be in big trouble. Oh, no, I'm not. I said, yes, you will. And he thought, well, she did swat me on the butt, so maybe she will. And it was the mom. She was checking in. I just told her I was tied up. Whatever that would meant to her. Maybe she knew that maybe he was in the bathroom and I was helping him in the bathroom or something. I don't know. But I babysat. I had the monopoly of the neighborhood. And all these houses where all the kids were on a court. There were the Thompsons and the Jorgensens, the Millers, the Dixons. I babysat all the time. And then periodically I'd babysit someone else, a friend of theirs or someone my dad worked with needed a babysitter. And luckily the ones I babysat all the time were smart kids. But I did babysit a kid that saw her shadow and screamed and cried bloody murder, and she was like 2 years old. And I thought, is she that dumb? I guess so. And she's a grown-up now too, unless she's not around anymore, but yes, weird to think that kids you knew, babysat, or maybe neighbors in the neighborhood or whatever, are all now grown up, if they're still alive. Yeah, I've been thinking a lot about mortality lately, and that teddy bear really helps me. I get very scared. And I was the last person to see the director last night, and he was having me enter on stage and my motions, my words and all that, checking to see if I knew where I would be when I said this or that. And I went out to the car and he was turning lights off and stuff, and I waited for him to come out because nobody wants. What if he fell inside? He'd be the only one there. He probably had a phone on him, but still, it's kind of polite to wait for somebody so that they're not alone. Even though he's a guy. Guys can be attacked. There are a lot of homeless people and there are a lot of gypsies out here too. You never thought I'd run into gypsies, but there are a lot of them out here. They stand and beg all day and they push their kids out in front end. The men don't work. I used to hear about this from my Italian boyfriend. That he had said that people from Albania used to come into Italy and they'd have their kids do pickpocketing and then they'd be real innocent about it and they wouldn't speak the language. They know the language. They have a little tiny sign, please help, we need food, or I have family, or something in broken English. They know. They have nice cars that they go to after they're done begging. Here I am on a tangent. Oh my God, 14 minutes and something. I'm sorry, but that's what I'm doing today. I'm going through all this. Then I'll go inside. I just want to lie down. I'm kind of tired, but I better not. I better keep going. And I'm going to have to retype that one set of lines so that I can learn it properly. Blah. Well, I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed about the fake Helge Schneider. Shame on you, you bastard, whoever is imitating him. The guy's very talented. He's got a lot of jazz music and stuff, so check him out. I'm for real. I mean, Helge, Helge. I guess that's the male version of Helga. Helge Schneider. And Schneider translates into tailor, like the kind of guy that makes your clothes. So if you know someone with last name Schneider, that's the trade that their family ancestors were in. My ancestors, my Holech, means bearded youth or barber. The guy that shaves your... And in the ancient olden days, barbers were also doctors. So I know I come from a long line of tradesmen on one side of my family, and that's fine. I don't have to lie and say they're all royalty. What does that do? Just because you have money doesn't mean you're a nice person. People that claim to have money or they're in that $1 million, $1 billion club, a lot of them are assholes. And if they wanted me to move out of their way because, I'd tell them to fuck off. Boy, I'm in a mood, aren't I? I'm emboldened today. Yeah. Let's see, today's Tuesday. Yeah, all day. Who knows? I saw a video that Las Vegas was flooded. It's a desert. But periodically, every once in a while, they get big flooding coming down from the mountain. They have that in Saudi Arabia as well. They have some areas that get washed out. They call it a wadi, W-A-D-I. And where the water comes whooshing through. If you could only harness that water and save it, not necessarily for drinking water, but for watering plants and things like that. If there's a way to harness that water, hydro power or whatever, I wish people could do it. They know it will happen eventually if they could only harness it and divert the water into this energy device or whatever. Now, come on, mankind. You've got a lot of technology out there. Technology that can fool people into believing it, that they're talking to someone when they're not. God damn you, motherfucker. Take you by the balls with some pliers, some vice grips, and pop those fuckers. Ooh, she's pissed off. Sometimes you need to be pissed off to go upward and onward.